Yo, what's up guys, and we are back with another video, and in today's video we've got another tier list and we are going through the most based fighters in the UFC. Obviously you all know the UFC is home to some great athletes. They're very good fighters, but you also might not know that the UFC is home to some incredibly based individuals. What is that, you might ask? I don't really know, but we're going to be determining that in today's video. In my opinion, what it is kind of just like just not giving a fuck what people think and just saying some kind of crazy shit, you know, just being cool with it, that kind of vibe. So in my opinion, keeping it real, like that's in my opinion what it is. You guys can fucking tell me it's not that, but whatever. This is my definition, so fuck you. But I'm going to start off, but just going through all these tiers first. We got King of the Based ones, that's for one man and one man only. We got Extremely Based, Very Based, Pretty Based, and then Not Based at all for those that they're not based. So we're going to be going through all that in today's video, but starting off with the first person, and I've got Radke. He's going in Extremely Based. You know, it's been a one-time appearance for this guy. We haven't got to see him much, but just based off his post-fight interview at UFC 293, I'd say he's a pretty fucking based guy, you know. Just beats Blood Diamonds by pretty boring decision, gets on the mic and just calls the crowd a bunch of facts. Oh my god. Radke, based individual. Oh, that interview, man, I can't fucking... It was too funny. I was just watching it and I was like... And he just jumps on the mic. He's like, so fuck all you facts in the crowd. Fuck you. Come down and get some. And then DC is just like, get this guy out of here. Just takes the mic off him. Based Radke. But unfortunately, my government here in Australia is incredibly soy. And he was forced to apologise. So that's unfortunate for Radke. But the next fighter that we have on the list here is Pere. I'm going to put him in pretty based. I know Pere, you know, he's a pretty based individual, I'm not going to lie. Like, he hasn't said anything super crazy. His vocabulary is pretty much limited to Shama, Luta, and Adesanya. And then with the occasional come to daddy. You know, that's pretty much all he's limited to saying. But in terms of just his attitude, he seems like a pretty based guy, you know, like, broke up with his girlfriend recently, immediately just posting photos with, like, other chicks. Like, bro's moving on. He ain't about that life. And then also, you know, just living his whole life just to torment one man. That's a pretty based existence, not gonna lie. So, Pere, I'm gonna chuck him in pretty based, but he just hasn't said anything to really warrant him going in the higher tiers. But the next fighter that we have here is Cody Duran. He's going in very based. And this is, again, pretty much just a one-time appearance or a one-off from Cody Duran. But after his win over Aori Chalang, he gets on the mic and says, I have to send him back to China where he came from. That's a pretty based statement to make. Of course, everyone got mad at him and like all that. But, you know, just off that alone, pretty based statement. He can say that he didn't mean it all he wants, but, you know, that's a statement that only comes from deep down, and that's a pretty based thing to say. So, very based from Cody Duran. But the next fighter that we have here is Yuri Prochazka. He's going to go in pretty based, you know. You guys might think, what is Yuri Prochazka done that's based? Like, he doesn't say anything, he keeps everything respectful, which I like. That's also based in itself. But Yuri Prochazka, you know, got on the mic after his loss at 295 and basically said the stoppage was fine. They didn't care. Like, he lives his existence as a samurai, just living a pretty cool life, just dwelling in some dark rooms from time to time. It's pretty based. And then also, I was scrolling Instagram the other day, as every good person does, and I see a video of these random farmers, and they're like revolting against the government, and they're blocking a bunch of shit off and doing a whole revolution thing, you know. And the post was liked by Yuri Prochazka. So this man is a casual revolutions enjoyer, pretty based in my opinion. So good stuff from Yuri Prochazka. But we move on to another fighter, and I've got Khalil Roundtree. He's going in not based at all. This man is not based whatsoever. He gets on his post-fight fucking press conference after his win and starts crying about how he used to be fat and smoke cigarettes. That's not very based. Like, I know you guys are going to say Sha Strickland cried too. Different kind of vibe, you know. Strickland's crying about child abuse. This guy's crying about used to being fat. Like, what are you doing? He also just seems like a pretty fucking odd individual. I'm not going to criticize him for anything, but I don't know. Just Roundtree, not the most based guy, let's be real. But we move on to another fighter, and I've got Dricus du Plessis. He's going in extremely based. This guy, he's just come out of nowhere, and he's actually become one of the more based fighters on the roster. Dricus du Plessis is incredibly based. This guy just tormented the continent of Africa and their 3 champions that they've had in the past and said, I'm going to be the first real African champion. Like, that's fucking based as shit. So, good stuff from Dricus du Plessis. And then he followed it up recently by tormenting Sha Strickland about being abused as a child. Whether you agree with it or not, that's kind of based, I'm not going to lie. But Dricus du Plessis, and also this man's laugh is just fucking, like, he's got a maniacal laugh. He's also, like, he's a professional instigator. Like, why are you so angry? Like, this guy lives to just annoy people. I swear, he lives to just piss people off with what he says. Dricus du Plessis, kind of based, not gonna lie. But, we move on to another fighter, and I've got Ian Garry. Not based at all from Ian Garry. This guy, his entire existence is just the definition of not being based. Like, he follows the principles of, like, how you would start to be based, like just living a life and not caring about what people think. But then turns out he does care what people think, because he sues them if they try and say anything bad about him. He's a fucking hypocrite. I know everyone's saying Sha Strickland's a hypocrite right now, but let's be honest, the whole criticism of Ian Garry started with what he said about Neil Magny, and then also what he did with Jeff Neal. And then and he was like saying, why would I not do that? You've given me gold. You've given me the perfect opportunity to make fun of this guy or to criticize him. And then as soon as someone criticizes him, it's like, you're partaking in defamation and harassment of character. Like, shut the fuck up. Anyway, Ian Garry, not based. But another fighter that is pretty based is Mayra Bueno Silva. You guys might be confused here. I'm going to include one female on this list, you know. I got to have one on here. And if I was going to pick any, I'm going to go with Mayra Bueno Silva. I was thinking about chucking Zhang Weili on here because she does occasionally say the N-word, kind of based. But she's got that Adesanya kind of energy. But Mayra Bueno Silva, pretty based. Recently she came out and said, basically, no one gives a fuck about my fight because it's women's MMA, but I'm going to do well and I'm going to put on a good performance. Like, that's kind of based. She's keeping it real. She knows what's up. She's not living in a fucking alternate reality. She knows she's a female fighter. Not that many people care about her fight. But she's going to do her best to make people care. So, like, pretty based from Mayra Bueno Silva. Also got in some trash talking with Juliana Pena and said some pretty interesting things. You know, she's kind of based, I'm not going to lie. But good stuff. She's, like, the only female that, like, ever has, like, said anything that you're like, oh, fair play, keeping it real. Like, Juliana Pena is just fucking retarded. But we move on to another fighter. And I've got Paulo Costa. He's going to go in. I'm going to chuck him in very based, but I might move him later on. Actually, I'm putting him in pretty based because Paulo Costa, he does do some based kind of things. Like, he lives his life. He doesn't care what people do. He basically controls the situation. He does whatever he wants, but he also pulls out of fights all the time, which is not based at all. Can't be pulling out of fights. But he's done some pretty based things, you know, with the shaking the ring girl's hand. He elbowed a nurse trying to get a vaccine card. It's kind of based. But he also, like, called someone a fag on Twitter. Like, that's pretty based too. Paulo Costa, kind of a based individual, not gonna lie. Basically just tormented a fucking drug testing organization for years and told them that they were never gonna catch him. Like, basically he's just telling people that he does juice and that nothing's gonna happen. Like, that's kind of based, I'm not gonna lie. But we move on to another fighter, and I've got Chito Vera. He's going in very based. Marlon Chito Vera said some pretty based things. He basically made fun of Sean O'Malley for being a cuck, like, extremely based. I think he said something else too, but yeah, Chito Vera, he's just pretty based individual. He called O'Malley Adam 22, like, that's just funny. He's based. He said he's called people fags before. He called O'Malley a fag. So pretty based from Chito Vera. But it's in his second language, so you can't always hear exactly what he's saying. And he also told Ilya Toporia's translator to translate properly, which is kind of based as well, you know, keeping the employees accountable, making them do their work. But yeah, good stuff from Chito Vera. But another fighter that we have here is Jon Jones. He's going in pretty based. Jon Jones, kind of a based individual, not going to lie. Just a casual, you know, law-abiding citizen. We love that. Never done anything wrong. He's a nice family man. Jon Jones, I don't know, man. Like, he's just a bit of an interesting guy. He's worshipper of Jesus, of course, which is based. But Jon Jones, pretty interesting. He's done some questionable stuff, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about Jon Jones too much. I'm just going to chuck him in here. But another fighter that we have here is Drew Dober. He's going in very based. Drew Dober, the only man to just openly call for one race of opponents and have a racial preference in the guys that you want to beat up in the cage. Like, extremely based. Already got wins over Terrence McKinney, Rafael Alves, and then he beat Bobby Green. Guess what he does? Immediately calls out Jalen Turner. Based from Drew Dober. He also does the German salute before his fights. Just sticking up his hand, waving, if you could call it that. But yeah, Drew Dober, pretty based individual. He also said the N-word on stream once. Definitely deliberate, but yeah. Good stuff from Grand Wizard Dober. But another fighter that we have here, I'm probably going to move some of these later on because it's crowding up a little bit here. But another fighter that we have here is Shavkat Rakhmonov. He's going to go in very based with Drew Dober. I got to hold the same treatment. Again, Shavkat, he's got that racial preference. Neil Magny, Carlston Harris, Jeff Neal. One thing in common, they're not liked by police officers. I don't know what I was going with there, but Shavkat Rakhmonov just really seems to put the extra spice on the victory whenever he's fighting a melanated opponent. Pretty based from Shavkat Rakhmonov. Also, one of my videos got demonetized when I said that he kills black people. So now I don't have to worry about saying that because my channel's already demonetized. Subscribe to my Patreon, please. But another fighter that we have here is Conor McGregor. He's going in extremely based. Conor's actually based as fuck. I know a lot of people, like, Conor just seems like he chats a lot of shit, but he's actually mad based. Have you seen this guy's fucking rants on Twitter and stuff? When this guy goes on like a 30-minute Twitter spiel and just starts fucking making fun of the Irish government. Senator Eileen Flynn said she wouldn't nominate me to wash the dishes. Senator, how disrespectful. I nominate you to wash your teeth and see the dentist. Like, that's just based. Just insulting politicians. Good stuff from Conor. Basically saying that they need to get the immigrants out of the country because they're taking over Ireland. Like, based Conor. Running for president, like, he does some good stuff. Basically, making another man just fucking beg for money. Like, he's just tormenting Michael Chandler, making him live his entire life through Conor. Like, everything Chandler does is just controlled by Conor. You want to do it at 185, you'll do it you'll do what I told. Like, he's just controlling Michael Chandler. It's kind of based. And then also, all his rants and stuff about the Irish government and all that shit and all this kind of stuff, very based. But we move on to another fighter, and we've got Bryce Mitchell. He's going to go in very based. Okay, so a lot of the stuff he says is kind of retarded, let's be honest. But still, at his core, Bryce Mitchell, pretty based individual. He's a man of God. He's a man of interesting beliefs, and he sticks by those beliefs. So whether you believe them or not, it's kind of based. Like, you're sticking by it that much, and to be willing to just to know that you're putting yourself out there and saying some kind of dumb shit and just not care what people say, it's kind of based in my opinion. So Bryce Mitchell, big fan of his in terms of he's just a bit of an interesting guy. Very respectful too after Josh Emmett beat him, He thanked him for not landing follow-up shots. Like, he's just a cool guy living on his farm. And yeah, good stuff for Bryce Mitchell. But we move on to another fighter, and I've got Israel Adesanya, not based at all. Sold out for another country, touches his dog's dick, just being an odd guy, into anime, into fucking hentai, very weird, not based at all. Basically has no honor. He does anything for money. Yeah, not based from Adesanya. When he was copping criticism from all the dog stuff, he basically went on Twitter and just said, if you don't like that I touch dogs, then you shouldn't be my fan. This is just me as a person. And you don't like that, then leave. Like, Adesanya just fucking basically just saying, if you don't think touching dogs' genitals is acceptable, then just don't be my fan. Like, alright, fair enough, buddy. Well, you're going to lose a lot of fans, in my opinion. But then some of his fans, some of his absolute abominations that support this guy, were just defending him on Twitter, saying, he didn't even jerk it off, he just fiddled with it. Like, yeah, that's still fucking odd. But makes me sick to talk about, so we move on to another fighter. And I've got Song Yadong. He's going to go on pretty based. Song Yadong, I'm a big fan of his. I think he's actually going to beat Pere. I know a lot of people are not going to like that. But Song Yadong is kind of based, I'm not going to lie. He's got a special... See, obviously, Dober and Shavkat's racial preference in opponents is clear, but Song's is a bit more subtle. He's got a very motivated stance against fighting Latino fighters. Chris Gutierrez, Marlon Moraes, I know he's a Brazilian, I think that counts. Ricky Simone, there's other guys. Julio Arce, this guy, a lot of his opponents, Latino, and he smokes them all. So I don't know how he's going to go against Pere, but yeah, he's only lost recently against a white man, Corey Sandhagen. So yeah, good stuff from Song Yadong. He's defending his homeland of China, even though, China's a bit of a fucking interesting place. At least he's doing it with honor, unlike Adesanya, who just sells out. He was defending them against Sha Strickland, saying that you don't need to criticize a country or some shit like that. I don't know what he said, but also the call out of Pere, learning English just to deliver a call out and basically telling Pere that you can't chat shit, you're on a 3-fight loss streak. Based from Song Yadong, so good stuff. He also got robbed at gunpoint and he was just laughing about it on stream. That's kind of funny. But we move on to another fighter, and I have Colby Covington. He is going to go in, you know what? Fuck you. Not based at all. Fuck Colby Covington. Hate this guy. If this wasn't an act, and if this is how he was, and he was genuinely like this, it's pretty based. But Colby Covington, the fact that he chatted all this shit. He made fun of Leon, brought up his dead father, said all this stuff, loses, complains about the loss, then doubles down and compares Leon's father to the mustache man of Germany, the Austrian chancellor. Compares him to that, says that, he won, said the judges robbed him because of Trump. He ended up just going from based to annoying, and because he doesn't really mean half of it. And even Donald Trump was like, yeah, this guy's got to shut the fuck up. So, not based at all from Colby Covington. Obviously, some of his views are based, but overall, his attitude and how he handled things, not based from Mr. Covington. But we move on to another fighter, and I've got Bernar St Denise, extremely based. French Chad, ex-military, hostage liberator. Bernar St Denise is based as fuck, I can't lie. This guy, also, after his fighting with Matt Frivola, he thanked the Americans for saving France during the war. Based. Just good stuff from Bernar St Denise. He used to be a fucking former Special Forces guy. This guy's just cool. Delivers good call-outs on the mic. Had an interview with, I think it was Nick Pete or something like that, and he was getting asked about his tattoos, and he was saying that this tattoo is the one of the person that you burnt or something like that, and just criticized him for that. So, defending his countrymen. Based, Bernar St Denise. But overall, most of his baseness just comes from his military background, his extremely Chad behaviour, Bernar St Denise. And also, he's going to kill Beneil Dariush if he fights him next. But yeah, Bernar St Denise, pretty based guy. The next fighter that we have here is Tom Aspinall. He is going to go in pretty based, Tom Aspinall. A little bit based. And that's mostly comes from, I'm just going to move Alex Pereira up to very based. But it mostly comes from the fact that he's working for his title shot. He knows what he was doing, and he's criticizing, and he's calling out Jones, he's calling out Stipe, and he's doing a good job of promoting himself. Also, some interesting things were said to one Nina Drama, pretty based. I wouldn't say it's based, just a bit interesting. But yeah, Aspinall, he's cool. Steps up on short notice, beats the guy that I thought was going to beat him. That's good stuff from Tom Aspinall, but mostly, he's just a pretty cool guy. He's calling for his shot. He's basically he's standing up to Aspinall. He's standing up to the fucking GOAT of the sport, and then the heavyweight GOAT, and saying, fuck you, your legacy doesn't mean shit. I'm better. Right now, I would smoke you. Fight me, you pussy. Tom Aspinall, kind of based. So, we move on to another fighter, and I've got Sean O'Malley. He's going in not based at all. I just saw a clip of this guy doing an interview with streamer Neon, who's extremely an abomination of a person. And yeah, all I can say is this guy overall in general, just not based. Lets his wife sleep with other dudes. Makes up just random shit. Has the worst mic skills of all time. Has never said anything good on the mic. He sounds like a fucking retard. Tattoos other men's aliases on your face. You're just letting other guys, putting other men's brand on you as a person. That's fucking odd. Yeah, you let your friend sleep with your wife. You fucking organise that shit. You took the man out to lunch and organised the details. He's probably telling him how long to spend in each position and all that. Terrible behaviour from Sean O'Malley. But we move on to another fighter, and I've got Sha Strickland, he's going in extremely based. And I know a lot of you are going to be like very confused. You're going to be like, how? He's the top. He's the king of the based ones. But Sha Strickland, I got to take him down just a little bit recently, but I still think even if that hadn't been said, the recent stuff with Duplessis and his little bit of hypocrisy, I'll be honest, I'll keep it real, he's still pretty based, but I do have one man above him. But Sha Strickland says the most based shit on Twitter: open transphobe, homophobe, racist, sexist, anti-government. Amazing stuff from Sha Strickland, very based. Yeah, he's just a cool guy. The other day of him fucking doing like fireworks and shit, like just casually. Man does not care. He already broke the belts. Like, this guy, he's cool, he's chill, he's relatable in a lot of ways. He's a bit mentally crazy, and I'm going to be doing a video on him soon, which is going to be coming out during fight week, but for UFC 297. But yeah, Sha Strickland, very based. But you guys have been wondering all video, especially after I put Sha Strickland not in the top tier, who is the king of the based ones? Who is the most based fighter on the UFC roster? And the answer to you, my friend, is Manel Kape. He's a based individual, proud Angolan, doesn't have genetic abominations like Alex Perez. He's proud of his warrior tribal ancestry. Also, open homophobe, called Kai Kara-France and all of CKB fags. Very based. Criticised the hypocrisy of Eugene Bareman for saying that Duplessis shouldn't have pulled out with an injury, because if you pull out with injuries, you don't have championship potential. But then guess what? Kai Kara-France pulls out with a headache. Dan Hooker pulls out with a sore arm. Carlos Ulberg pulls out against Dominic Reyes. Like, mate, you could have 2 broken legs and a fucking cardiac arrest, and you can still probably beat Dominic Reyes. Come on, stay in there, mate. Everyone's pulling out CKB. So Manel Kape criticised the hypocrisy of that. Very based. His Twitter also extremely based. He basically told Muhammad Mokaev to shut up, and said that he's a false prophet, which is incredibly based to say to Muhammad Mokaev as well. Said that he called Figgy a fag, called him a yellow-livered pussy. Very based from Manel Kape, just roasting him in a different language, leaving Rigo, the based one himself as well, to have to Google translate that and to do some linguistics and figure out what he meant by that. But yeah, Manel Kape, super based. He reposted a video of someone racially abusing someone on Twitter. Like, that's mad based as well. But yeah, this guy says a lot of based things. Criticized Tim Elliott for being a cuck, said that he was only making it public because he wanted sympathy and attention, even though he already knew that his wife cheated on him. Based, Manel Kape. But yeah, this guy is just a very based individual. He's fighting next weekend against Matheus Nicolau in the rematch, which he should have won the first fight, clearly. But yeah, Manel Kape based. He's on his way up to the top. I don't think he's going to beat Pantoja, but he's one of the better fighters at flyweight, and he's very exciting, and he's also one of the few guys that actually has a fucking personality and makes things interesting. So, good stuff from Manel Kape, very based. But that is the tier list of the most based fighters in the UFC. Let me know if you agree or not in the comments. I think I've done a pretty good job here. I know a lot of you're going to say, like, I'm reaching with some of these people, like, a lot of these guys aren't based, but I've kind of, not everyone here has obviously called someone a slur. Like, you don't have to, it doesn't have to go to that level, but there's just based personalities, there's just based statements. Even if they're not insulting anyone, just keeping it real is based in itself. So that's why I got respect for all these guys. But yeah, these are the most based fighters in the UFC. I got a bunch more videos coming soon, hopefully. We got predictions coming in a couple of days for the next fight night. I'll be doing a live fight companion for that too. And that card is on my birthday, so tune in, say good day. Pop into the channel. I got a video out coming on Strickland Fight Week, which is going to take a while, so I might not be as consistent with the uploads, but still, I'll keep it coming. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.